Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Let's talk. Man, in this particular conversation, we're going to be discussing two Baltimore Ravens players who have been rising to the top of their position groups amongst other high-level performers in training camp. Let's get it. So the Baltimore Ravens are getting ready to take on the Indianapolis Colts in their first preseason matchup coming this Friday. An exciting time for a lot of players who are trying to make an impression on the coaching staff, their teammates, and the other 31 teams around the league in order to earn a roster spot. But two main guys in a Baltimore Ravens uniform who are absolutely no doubt will be on the team or this season, that's Rashad Bateman and Nate Wiggins. These two players have been performing in practice. They've been catching notoriety from inside the organization and outside of the organization as the two breakout players on this Baltimore Ravens team. Rashad Bateman has been identified as the Baltimore Ravens player at the wide receiver position who will break out this season. Now, many of us thought that Rashad Bateman had a breakout season last year with over 750 yards receiving and a numerous amount of touchdowns. But I think that was just Rashad Bateman breaking the ice, right? Because in truth, that was really the first off season that Rashad Bateman had an opportunity to train versus rehab. Therefore, he would have walked into the season in better shape, with better camaraderie, with better continuity. And he put on a really nice performance throughout the season, catching clutch touchdowns, catching the long ball, getting open, separation, showing off his hands. And I think he's primed for a high-level season this season. In fact, because Rashad Bateman has been identified as a key breakout player at the wide receiver position, let me say this. I believe that Rashad Bateman displaces Zay Flowers, even if it's just for one season, as the number one wideout on this roster. Not that he's trying, not that they're really competing against one another, not that it's about contract and any of those things, because neither one of these guys are in a contract year. Bate just got paid again, and then Zay still has a couple of more seasons. I think it's just that time where Rashad Bateman is settling into his role on this Baltimore Ravens team. I think we're going to see the type of performance that had the Baltimore Ravens drafted him at the bottom of the first round in 2021. I believe it's going to be the type of season that we've been waiting on from Rashad Bateman since he walked in the organization. And I believe he puts it on this season. Now, when I say take over or displace the number one wide receiver in Zay Flowers, here's simply what I mean. I believe that Rashad Bateman will lead this team in yards, maybe not receptions, maybe not touchdowns once again, but I think he will lead them in receiving yards. Rashad Bateman does have an ability to get open. He runs great routes, and he has the kind of speed at 4.3 to take it the distance. And I think we're going to see several 100-yard games from Rashad Bateman. I think we're going to see several games where he has 2 or more touchdowns. I think it's just the type of season that we're going to see. And with Isaiah Likely sidelined probably for the first 4 games, it is going to take a Rashad Bateman and the crew to step up and fill in for some of that void that Isaiah Likely will leave. That's what I believe. I believe all systems are go unless we see some unfortunate, unforeseen type of event happen with Rashad Bateman. I believe he steps into that number one spot. Again, I don't believe he's competing with Zay. He's already got his money. I don't believe he's competing with Zay for the number one spot. I just think it happens naturally. Zay has been battling some nicks and some dings since the end of last season, and we've seen a little bit of that even in training camp. My hope is that it's not a trend, it's just a blip, right? It's just a one-off. But if it's not, I think Rashad Bateman will step into that role and perform well, especially with some of the depth pieces behind him. All right, so let's jump into the second player I had on my radar, and that's Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins has been getting a lot of notoriety. He's been intercepting balls. He's been great in coverage, and he's just kind of ramping up, right? He's just getting started in this offseason. You didn't hear much about Nate until training camp started. And, being a second-year player, you didn't expect to. But once he got on the field and they put the pads on, Nate Wiggins has been performing at a above average level. Some could say an elite level. He is absolutely challenging Jair Alexander for headlines, right? And in a most recent article and some buzz around Baltimore is that Nate Wiggins has the potential this season to travel with another team's number one. Now, that's not something the Baltimore Ravens have typically done, but they must see that type of skill set in Nate Wiggins. Do we see it? I believe so. When you think about Nate Wiggins, he's about 6'1". He has about 32, 33-inch arms. That is in length. He has elite of the elite speed, right? So there is not a chance that anybody's running away from him. There is not a chance that anybody gets over the top and he doesn't make up the distance. It's just no chance of that. And so I think that traveling with a number one wide receiver, such as in our division alone, a Jamar Chase, a DK Metcalf. When you jump out of our division, you got Nico Collins. You got Tyreek Hill, guys like that. He has the speed to play those guys. He has the length to play those guys. And so I definitely see Nate Wiggins having not a sophomore slump, but a breakout season. I think he only had one interception last year. I think he comes away with 4 to 6 interceptions, no less than 4. I think he may flirt around with a Pro Bowl season, but because of the level of corner we have in the AFC, I don't think he gets in, but I think he has that kind of season. When you look at the corners in our AFC conference, you got the best of the best, Patrick Surtain, you have Derek Stingley, and you have Sauce Gardner, however you want to chalk it up. I think Nate Wiggins is going to put himself amongst that type of conversation. Right? Not that he's going to be a shutdown guy, but I think he has the athleticism, definitely the speed and the coverage ability to absolutely compete with the best of the best in the AFC. I think it's going to be a great thing for the Baltimore Ravens. It will allow Jair to fall back on maybe the number 2 on occasion. It's going to allow Chidobe Awuzie to get in where he fits in. It's going to allow Marlon Humphrey to stay in the slot where he is the best at. And so I just think that Nate Wiggins is going to have that kind of season, and the public is becoming aware of it. So, man, I'm excited about these two guys. Some other notable names from training camp is Tyler Loop, who has been banging kicks, went 11 for 11 in the stadium practice, hitting a long of 56, and then doing better than that and hitting a long of 60. So he is definitely showing distance. He's showing accuracy. He's showing power. And so if he just keeps this up, I think that we have the kicker in Baltimore for the next 10 seasons. But let me not get ahead of myself. He is a rookie, and I think our special teams department will be super important for what we do this season. Let me think, is there any more notable names from the stadium practice? There probably is, but I just wanted to hit those 3 guys. Let me see. The depth chart came out, and really, honestly and truly, there's no surprises for me. I did not think that Ben Cleveland was going to be really in competition against Andrew Voorhees. It really makes you wonder why they brought back Ben Cleveland other than cheap and familiarity, because he still is noted as being a little behind. He doesn't really seem to be able to get it together on a consistent basis. Ben Cleveland does have the potential to get cut, depending upon what other organizations do along the offensive line, specifically at the guard position. I think our tackle room is going to be pretty solid, especially if we don't have to turn to Vincent. If we can just let him develop as a rookie, I think that'll be great. Let me see. Nothing else surprised me about this depth chart. I think that the linebacker the Baltimore Ravens brought in free agency, I don't think he makes this team. I understand he's a special teams ace. I understand he's a vet. But you have the vet of vets at the linebacker position, one of the top linebackers, depending on who's talking about Roquan Smith in the league. But I think these young guys are going to make enough noise to be able to supplant him. I think Trent Simpson wins the job. Teddy Buchanan is going to push Trent Simpson. And I think, although we haven't heard from Jay Higgins, I think he does make a little bit of noise. But I do not think the free agent that we brought in at the linebacker position makes this roster. So, man, I'm super excited, man, to see what happens this Friday. So, man, until next time, I'm your guy, Boulanger, and I'm out.